I don't need gold, only a place to belong. His reply changed her life. Emma Collins stared at her phone, heart sinking as the news about her rent hit her like a winter chill. She wrapped her arms around herself, wondering how she could make it through. Then through the cafe door, Alexander King appeared tall, composed, yet something in his eyes softened the cold around her. He approached, offering a coat and a simple smile. "You don't need gold, only a place to belong," he said gently. Emma froze, her world shifting in that instant. She looked at him, voice barely a whisper. "Wait, who are you?" And for the first time in months, hope flickered. Perhaps she could truly belong somewhere after all. The cold winter sky cast a pale gray over New York City, and the wind swept through every corner of the narrow streets. Emma Collins huddled in a small sidewalk cafe, clutching her worn handbag, her eyes avoiding everyone around her. Her phone vibrated constantly, each incoming message feeling like a small knife to the heart, rent-rising bills piling up, and no clear way to make ends meet. Emma shivered, breathing heavily, muttering under her breath, "How am I going to manage this?" Her fingers tightened around her bag, and each breath she exhaled rose in the cold air. The faint aroma of coffee could not soothe the anxiety that enveloped her. The audience could clearly see her helplessness, loneliness, and vulnerability. Emma, an ordinary woman struggling alone under life's burdens. At that moment, the cafe door opened, letting in a gust of cold air, and a figure stepped inside. Alexander King, tall, elegant, dressed in a finely tailored black suit, glanced around, but then stopped at Emma. There was something in his eyes that seemed to make the space around him feel a little warmer. He approached steadily, not in a hurry, and handed Emma a warm coat, speaking gently, "Here, you'll need this." Emma looked at him, surprised and slightly flustered, her gaze a mix of fear and curiosity. The tremor within her seemed partially soothed as her small hands took the coat, her heart racing between surprise and an indescribable warmth. In that moment, viewers could sense a small light flicker through the winter mist amid Emma's solitude and struggles, a first tender moment that opened the door to a life-changing story. Alexander's eyes conveyed more than mere kindness. They sent a message. There are places, there are people where she could truly belong. Emma took a deep breath, her warm exhale merging with the cold air, feeling the gentle care in this small gesture. From here, everything seemed to begin changing. A chance encounter held the power to alter a life. The audience could vividly feel Emma's heartbeat, nervous trembling, yet slowly kindling a glimmer of hope. Chapter 1. A Lonely. Beginning winter in New York always brought a bone-deep chill that no light could ever chase away. Inside Emma Collins' small apartment, the air felt even heavier, weighed down by silence and accumulated worries. Emma sat on the worn sofa, phone in hand eyes, fixed on the endless bank alerts and unpaid bills. A message from her landlord blinked on the screen. Next month's rent will increase by 20%. Emma froze, her heart tightening. She knew all too well that she was struggling with every dollar of her meager preschool teacher's salary, barely enough to cover living expenses, let alone the tuition for Lily, the little girl from next door she often took care of in the afternoons. The pressure and sense of helplessness were overwhelming. Her hands trembled, as she scrolled through her banking apps, calculating every penny, wondering how she could possibly make ends meet. How am I going to pay for this? Emma whispered, her voice catching eyes misting over with fatigue and worry. The cramped room, lit by a pale desk lamp, cast golden light on gray walls, reflecting the worry etched across her face. The silence was broken only by the steady ticking of the clock, each tick a reminder of the time and the problems that had no solution. Emma rose and walked to the window, gazing out at the snow-covered street. Cars passed by, pedestrians hurried along, but she felt disconnected, as if she existed outside the city's frantic rhythm. She sat back down at the table, resting her hand on her forehead, sighing deeply. Thoughts spiraled in her mind: rent bills, living expenses, even what to cook for dinner for herself and Lily. Everything piled up heavy and seemingly hopeless. In that moment, Emma realized a painful truth: she was utterly alone. No family nearby to lean on, no one to share the burden. Even as a strong, independent woman, she couldn't escape the profound loneliness. Every knock on the door, every phone chime, reminded her of the hard life she was struggling through. The cafe near her apartment was where Emma often went to find a little warmth amid the winter chill. She put on her thick coat, clutched her worn handbag, and stepped outside. The cold wind made her shiver, sending her hair and coat fluttering with each gust. Upon entering the cafe, the comforting aroma of coffee and warm pastries filled the air, yet her heart remained heavy with unnamed worries. She chose a quiet corner, placed her handbag down, and looked out the window. Light snow, mixed with drizzle, fell onto the sidewalk, reflecting the golden glow of the street lamps. Emma sipped her hot coffee, silently trying to take deep breaths to ease the overwhelming sense of helplessness. Yet it wasn't easy. Each heartbeat, each breath reminded her of the challenges ahead. Sitting there, Emma looked around and saw everyone else absorbed in their phones, laptops, or lively conversations. She felt like a tiny speck in the bustling flow of the city, fragile and insignificant. Each time her eyes fell on her hands, she recalled the hard months she had endured, waking up early, working overtime, saving every cent just to maintain a barely sufficient life. As Emma sank deeper into her thoughts, her gaze suddenly landed on the cafe door as someone stepped inside. Alexander King, tall, confident, dressed in an elegant black suit, stood there glancing around before his eyes settled on her. There was something in his gaze that made Emma feel less cold, like a warm current weaving through the harsh winter air. Alexander approached, naturally showing genuine concern. He gently handed Emma a warm coat, his voice calm, deep, and caring. "Here, you'll need this." Emma looked at him, her eyes a mixture of fear and surprise. She shivered as she took the coat, yet warmth spread through her chest. For the first time in weeks, she felt a small sense of safety, a spark of hope. That tiny moment, that simple act of kindness, was like a flicker of light cutting through her loneliness, soothing the worries that surrounded her. She took a deep breath, feeling the warmth from the coat and Alexander's attentive gaze. Her heart still raced, but this time it was the rhythm of relief and newfound hope. A chance encounter, seemingly simple, held the power to shift emotions, opening a door to better things in life. Emma looked out the window, snow falling quietly, and a faint smile touched her lips. For the first time in weeks, she didn't feel entirely alone. One small moment, one act of kindness was enough to make her believe that even in a life full of cold and hardship, there were warm lights and places where she could truly belong. And from that moment, Emma's story began to unfold step by step, heartbeat by heartbeat, guiding her toward a new life, a renewed hope, and a fateful encounter she would never forget. Chapter 2. A Fateful Encounter. The next morning, New York City remained shrouded in mist and the icy breath of winter. Emma Collins stepped out of her small apartment, wrapped in a thick coat, yet still shivering from the biting cold. Her worries about rent and unpaid bills had not faded. Each step she took on the snow-covered sidewalk reminded her that life was far from easy. She paused in front of the familiar cafe, the place where just yesterday she had found a little peace and warmth. The small cafe was cozy with soft golden light spilling over worn wooden tables, where patrons sipped coffee, read, chatted, or worked. Emma pushed open the door, and the rich aroma of coffee immediately enveloped her, a gentle reminder that there were still warm things in this cold world. She chose a table near the window, allowing her to look out at the street while maintaining a sense of privacy. Her hands wrapped around a steaming cup of coffee, the warmth spreading through her trembling fingers. Emma gazed outside at cars sliding down wet streets, pedestrians hurrying past, yet her loneliness lingered. Each passing minute, each heartbeat reminded her of the financial pressures and unresolved worries weighing on her. Then her eyes unexpectedly met a figure outside the glass door. Alexander King. He stood there, tall, elegant, dressed in a perfectly tailored black suit, his gaze scanning the cafe before settling on her. Emma froze for a moment, her heart racing. She had never met him before yet. There was something in his eyes that stirred a mix of curiosity and apprehension within her. Alexander entered the cafe, walking with steady, deliberate steps, never rushed. He paused for a few seconds, observing her from afar, then offered a gentle, subtle smile, not extravagant, just enough to send a small warmth toward Emma. She realized he was no ordinary stranger. There was a difference in how he moved and the way he took in the space around him. Confident, yet refined, a man accustomed to control, yet attuned to the small details that mattered. Emma drew a quiet breath, trying to calm herself, but she could not deny the strange sensation creeping through her heart. For the first time in weeks, she felt a gaze that truly cared from a powerful stranger who could be so gentle. She trembled not from the cold, but from surprise mingled with an unexpected warmth. Alexander approached her table, leaned slightly forward, and placed a warm coat in front of her. The gesture was simple, yet full of meaning. His voice, deep and warm, accompanied it. "Here, you'll need this." Emma looked at him, eyes wide, unsure of what to say. She shivered as she took the coat, a feeling she could hardly describe rising in her chest, surprise and emotion intertwined. His simple kindness, an act that seemed so small, reached the very depths of her heart. For the first time, she felt genuine care, not transactional, not influenced by status or wealth. Sitting across from Alexander, Emma did not know what to ask, so she remained silent. She took a sip of coffee, the warmth spreading through her trembling body, slowly easing the anxiety that had gripped her since morning. Alexander sat opposite her, his gaze still warm, yet radiating confidence and calm authority. Emma could not look away. Their conversation began gently, with small talk about winter coffee and everyday life. Alexander listened to Emma. Each word she spoke met with attention, making her feel seen and heard. For Emma, someone always used to relying on herself, this was a rare and precious experience. The short time in the cafe stretched comfortably, never heavy. Every gesture, every glance exchanged created a subtle connection. Alexander spoke little about himself, yet his presence, discreet but profound, was enough for Emma to feel that not everyone was indifferent. Emma shared her struggles, rent-exhausting days after teaching Lily, the little girl she treated like a second daughter. Alexander nodded occasionally, offering a warm smile, easing her burdens slightly. She realized that even as strangers, he was offering something she had never expected: understanding and empathy. Outside, snow continued to fall softly, each flake landing on the cafe window. Inside, the space felt warmer, as if Emma's worries, tension, and loneliness were melting away bit by bit. The coat Alexander had given her did more than keep her body warm. It warmed her heart, soothing the helplessness she had carried for so long. Emma realized an important truth sometimes. In life, care and kindness need no wealth or power. They are simple, subtle, yet powerful enough to shift emotions, even change a person's life. In that moment, she looked at Alexander, eyes full of surprise and gratitude. Alexander stood preparing to leave, but before stepping out, he turned to look at Emma once more. His gaze, warm and sincere, seemed to say, "You are not alone. There are places, there are people where you truly belong." Emma clutched the coat tightly, a strange hope rising in her heart. She felt no longer entirely alone, and perhaps even amid winter's chill and life's difficulties, there were people who carried warmth, humanity, and hope. She finished her coffee, eyes drawn to the falling snow outside. And in her mind, Alexander's image lingered tall, warm, and mysterious. This fateful encounter, seemingly simple, was enough to open a new door for her heart. Emma knew that from this moment onward, her life would never be the same. A new hope, a flicker of light in the cold winter, had been kindled. For the first time in months of loneliness and worry, she felt her heart could respond to kindness to a stranger who, though powerful, made her feel inexplicably warm. And so, the fateful encounter between Emma and Alexander officially began setting the stage for a journey that would transform her life from loneliness and anxiety to hope and connection. Each step Alexander took, each small gesture, left an indelible mark on Emma's heart, promising chapters ahead, full of emotion, surprise, and healing she had never imagined. Chapter 3. The Words That Changed Everything. The cafe remained a warm haven, despite the gray sky outside and the gentle snowflakes drifting down. Emma Collins sat across from Alexander King, her heart still racing from the encounter the day before. She took a sip of her steaming coffee, feeling the warmth spread through her trembling body, trying to steady her thoughts after the anxious worries about rent and unpaid bills. Alexander observed Emma with subtle attentiveness. He didn't need to speak much. Just sitting there, his gaze focused and punctuated with a faint smile, was enough to send a quiet warmth into her heart. Emma realized that for the first time in weeks, She wasn't facing life's struggles alone. A stranger, powerful yet gentle, was genuinely concerned about her emotions. Emma drew a deep breath, pushing aside thoughts of who he was or why he cared. She knew she was just a simple, poor, lonely teacher, never expecting someone like Alexander to notice her small, ordinary life. Yet his gaze, his discreet yet sincere concern, made her pause and truly listen. After a few moments of silence, Alexander leaned slightly toward her, his voice low, but warm like a whisper, meant only for her. "You don't need gold. Only a place to belong, right?" The words echoed through the cozy cafe, yet they struck Emma's heart deeply. She gasped, eyes widening her heart, giving a small jolt. A mild shock, yet strangely warm inside. It wasn't wealth or power that moved her, but genuine, selfless care. Emma looked at Alexander, eyes filled with astonishment. She could hardly believe that a stranger could see through her loneliness, understand her worries, and speak words that seemed to grasp it all. She trembled, unsure what to say, only aware of her racing heart and quickened breath. Outside, the falling snow seemed to slow the surrounding sounds, fading, leaving only the moment between Emma and Alexander. She realized that his words were more than comfort. They were a powerful message. There were places, there were people where she truly belonged, where she was no longer alone. Emma tried to steady herself, resting her hands on the table, feeling the warmth of the coat Alexander had given her the day before. She thought silently, "Perhaps I'm not as alone as I thought." This moment felt like a new door opening, where hope could ignite, where she could believe that life wasn't only full of challenges and hardships. Alexander looked deeply into Emma's eyes, his gaze sincere and gentle, without the flamboyance of power. He said no more yet. With just that one sentence, he had planted a spark in her heart, a belief that kindness and care could change a life. Emma felt her heart stir, a sensation, both frightening and comforting, something she had never experienced before. She took another sip of coffee, warmth flowing through her each sip, syncing with her racing heartbeat. Alexander's words echoed in her mind like a bridge between loneliness and hope. In Emma's heart, the image of a place where she could truly belong began to form, not a physical location, but a feeling of being understood, cared for, and able to live without constantly bracing against the world. The cafe around them buzzed with noise, the hiss of coffee machines' chairs scraping the floor, conversations. Yet Emma felt immersed in her own world. She noticed every detail, the golden light on the table, the steam rising from her cup, the rich aroma of roasted coffee, all contributing to this magical moment. Alexander remained still, hands lightly resting on the table, eyes attentive, needing no further words. Emma realized that his presence alone was enough to bring her peace. For the first time in weeks of struggling under pressure, she recognized that she could open her heart, feel warmth from a stranger, and begin to hope. This moment lingered gentle, yet powerful enough to shift Emma's emotions. She understood that sometimes just the right words, at the right time, a sincere gesture could spark a glimmer of hope, convincing a lonely heart that it deserved care and belonging. Alexander smiled, eyes filled with goodwill, reminding Emma that not everything in life was cold and indifferent. She felt a subtle, wordless connection forming between them, bridging loneliness and warmth. Emma lowered her gaze, her breath gradually steadying, sensing each heartbeat and the warmth in her body. She knew this moment would never fade from her memory. It marked the beginning of a new chapter in her life, one where she could open her heart, trust, and hope. Alexander's words were like a small flame enough to illuminate Emma's heart in the cold winter. She lifted her head, meeting his gaze, a gentle smile spreading across her lips. No words could capture the mix of shock and warmth she felt. For the first time in weeks, she sensed true hope, a hope that there were people and places where she could genuinely belong. In that moment, amid falling snow, the warmth of coffee, and the soft golden glow of the cafe, a door opened for Emma, a journey where kindness, care, and hope would accompany her in the days to come. From that single sentence, everything seemed to change. Loneliness, pressure, and worry remained, but alongside the hardships, a spark, a warmth, a new hope emerged, reminding Emma that sometimes just a single word or a small act could change a person's entire life. Chapter 4. The Twist of Identity. A few days after their fateful encounter at the cafe, Emma Collins received an unexpected invitation to attend a charity event held at one of the city's most luxurious hotels. At first, she had intended to decline. The event didn't seem meant for an ordinary teacher like her, but Lily, the mischievous yet clever little neighbor, tugged at her arm. "You have to go. You might be surprised." Emma smiled, softly, shrugged, and thought to herself, "It's probably nothing, just a party." The grand hotel gleamed with opulent lights reflecting off polished marble floors. Emma felt slightly overwhelmed by the scene: sparkling evening gowns, elegant black suits, champagne bottles, and the curious glances of the guests. She felt small and out of place in this glamorous world. She stepped lightly inside, keeping her distance, clutching her small handbag, eyes scanning for a seat. Then her gaze landed on a familiar figure: Alexander King. He stood amid the crowd, conversing with a few guests, yet radiating a confident presence that drew attention naturally. Emma began to realize something. He was not just a refined gentleman, but someone who commanded respect effortlessly. A strange sensation flooded through her, half surprise, half curiosity. Emma steadied her racing heart and moved a little closer, observing him more intently. She noticed how he interacted with everyone, eyes gentle yet authoritative movements, precise, and a warm smile that made people feel at ease, yet never allowed anyone to underestimate him. From the way others addressed him and the deference he received, Emma slowly understood that Alexander was far from the ordinary man she had met at the cafe. A wave of astonishment swept over her. Her heart pounded as if it might leap from her chest. Alexander, the man who had made her feel warmth and care, was none other than the powerful CEO, a wealthy philanthropist frequently mentioned in the press and social circles. She could hardly believe her eyes, yet every detail was correct. His stature, his demeanor, his gaze, and the respect he commanded. Emma stepped back slightly, her heart a mix of anxiety and excitement. She recalled the moment at the cafe when he had handed her the coat and said, "You don't need gold, only a place to belong." Those words now took on a whole new meaning. Before her stood a man both powerful and kind, a stark contrast that left her both shocked and intrigued. Alexander's gaze swept the room and finally rested on Emma. A subtle, unassuming smile acknowledged her, a silent reminder that he remembered their previous meeting. He approached, inclined his head politely, and spoke in his deep, warm voice. "Emma, it's a pleasure to see you here again." Her heart throbbed, not just from surprise, but because she had uncovered a vital truth. The man who had stirred her emotions, who had made her feel warmth, was Alexander King, the influential millionaire CEO she had only read about in the news. Part of her wanted to step back, fearful that the gap between their worlds would leave her feeling out of place. But another part was drawn in, curious and hopeful. The event unfolded with greetings, laughter, and shimmering lights. Emma felt as if she had stepped into another world, one in which she was small, ordinary, yet still held in a gaze of special attention. Alexander stood beside her, guiding her gently through the charity programs, showing her how to interact with the guests, all handled with such finesse that Emma felt at ease, never pressured. In a quieter moment, near the smooth jazz band playing softly, Alexander leaned in and said, "You've been through some difficult days recently, and I want to make sure you know you're not alone." Emma looked at him, eyes sparkling with surprise and a touch of emotion. In this luxurious setting, his words carried an extraordinary sincerity and closeness. She realized that although Alexander was a wealthy, powerful CEO, his kindness and care were utterly natural, never ostentatious or imposing. She began to understand an important truth. Human power lies not only in wealth or authority, but also in the ability to care and share. Alexander was both powerful and kind, and this rare combination left Emma shocked, intrigued, and willing to open her heart. The glamorous scene, golden light reflecting on glasses of wine, sparkling gowns, elegant suits suddenly seemed softer to Emma. She felt the warmth radiating from Alexander's gaze and gestures like a bridge between two worlds, hers of hardship and loneliness, and his of wealth and influence, yet full of humanity and consideration. Emma could not hide her astonishment at realizing Alexander's true identity. She took a sip of water, trying to steady her mind. But the mixture of shock and curiosity was written plainly on her face. In that moment, she understood that her life would never be the same. Their encounter at the cafe had been just the beginning. Now everything became clear. The powerful man was not a chance presence, but someone seemingly opening a new door full of hope into her life. Alexander inclined his head slightly, eyes still on her, offering a gentle smile. "I know this might surprise you, but I want you to know that kindness isn't dependent on power. Today, I just want to make sure you feel that." Emma's heart stirred, both shocked by his identity and warmed by his words. She realized that life sometimes brings unexpected moments where a stranger can change one's perspective on the world, oneself, and hope. The event continued with curious glances all around, yet Emma's focus remained on Alexander. Silently, she felt that despite the difference in worlds, status, and power between them, the most important thing was the connection between two people, the genuine care, the warmth, and the budding hope. As the golden light from the chandeliers reflected on sparkling glasses and gowns, Emma felt as if a new door had opened before her. A door leading to opportunities, new experiences, and a journey where she could find a place to belong, open her heart, and hope. This twist of identity was neither loud nor dramatic. It was subtle, refined, yet powerful enough to make Emma and the audience feel surprise, curiosity, and excitement. From that moment, everything inside her shifted. The challenges remained, but alongside them emerged a spark, a hope, and a new story waiting for her to step into. Alexander stood there, in his elegant suit eyes, warm and sincere, leaving an indelible impression on Emma's mind. She knew that from this moment, her life would no longer be merely a struggle against hardship. A new journey filled with unexpected moments, warm emotions, and challenges alike was opening before her. Emma drew a deep breath, gripping her handbag eyes, following Alexander. She sensed the difference, a powerful CEO, yet a heart full of goodwill, able to touch the life of a lonely woman like her. This twist not only changed her view of Alexander, but also altered how she saw herself. Her ability to accept kindness, hope, and open her heart to life's unexpected opportunities. And so, the night of the lavish event illuminated not just glittering gowns and fine wine, but Emma's heart as well, a heart gradually opening, stirring, and ready to step into a new chapter of life, where Alexander and the human warmth he embodied would become a crucial guide leading her toward the days ahead. Chapter 5. The Bridge of Emotions. After the luxurious hotel event, Emma returned to her small apartment still feeling dazed and conflicted. Part of her was stunned by the revelation of Alexander's true identity, a powerful man who genuinely cared for her. Another part of her felt flustered, unsure how to navigate this newly budding connection. That afternoon, Emma sat in her living room, sipping a warm cup of tea, her mind swirling with thoughts. She reflected on the small yet profound moments, Alexander's gentle gaze, the way he listened to her, and the cafe words, "You don't need gold, only a place to belong." All of it echoed in her mind, leaving her both trembling and hopeful. A knock at the door drew her attention. Lily, the curious 8-year-old neighbor she often cared for, stood outside with an innocent smile. "Can I come in and play for a bit?" Ms. Emma Lily asked, eyes sparkling with curiosity. Emma smiled and nodded, letting the girl inside. Lily hopped onto the sofa, setting down her small bag, giggling. "Ms. Emma, I heard you went to a party today. Did you meet any handsome men?" Lily asked, playful yet earnest. Emma couldn't help but laugh, feeling a flush of embarrassment. "Well, there was someone, but it's nothing for you to worry about, Lily." The girl shrugged, mischievous yet serious. "I noticed, when you met him, you smiled differently. I know you like him. If you feel scared, I'll help you." Lily tilted her head, her bright eyes seeming to see straight into the hearts of adults. Emma stayed silent, taking in Lily's innocence and sincerity. Those seemingly simple words acted as a bridge, pulling her from confusion and worry towards something new: closeness, trust, and the courage to open her heart. A few days later, Emma decided to bring Lily to the cafe where she had first met Alexander. She knew that if there was any chance Lily's presence could break the awkward silence and tension between her and Alexander. Lily, with her innocent smile, ran straight to Alexander's table before Emma could intervene. "Mr. Alexander," Lily exclaimed, eyes shining, waving her hand. Alexander looked up, his gaze gentle, and offered a warm smile. "Hello, Lily. What an energetic little girl you are." He bent slightly, waving back. Lily climbed onto a chair, placing her hand on Alexander's shoulder, glancing at Emma, then back at him. Acting as a pure-hearted bridge, Ms. Emma said, "You're a good person. I know you'll help her." Emma stood behind them, her heart fluttering. For the first time, a child's innocence brought her warmth, gentleness, and a touch of courage. Alexander looked at Emma, eyes full of goodwill, silently agreeing with Lily's words. In that moment, Emma no longer felt awkward or pressured, but instead experienced closeness and trust. Alexander leaned slightly toward her, his voice deep and warm. "Ms. Emma Lily is right. I will help you if you need it." Emma nodded softly, both shocked and moved. Alexander's kindness and warmth now connected through Lily felt closer than ever. She realized that sometimes an innocent comment or a small gesture from a child could break down fear and social barriers between two people. Emma decided to open her heart further, speaking with Alexander naturally without hesitation. They talked about life challenges and the small dreams everyone holds. Lily sat nearby sometimes, interrupting with innocent questions, other times offering observations that made the two adults laugh. In those moments, the connection between Emma and Alexander grew naturally and warmly. Lily became not just a bridge of emotions, but a symbol of trust and humanity. She showed Emma that she deserved care and openness. At the same time, Lily helped Alexander realize that his power wasn't only in wealth or influence, but also in his ability to bring hope, healing, and connection. Emma recognized that simple, ordinary moments, like an afternoon with Lily at the cafe, could create deep connections, offering opportunities for two people to grow closer. Her heart stirred gently, no longer filled with hesitation or embarrassment. Instead, there was warmth, trust, and hope, the first she had felt after weeks of loneliness and struggle. Alexander, watching Emma and Lily interact, felt this magic too. He spoke little simply, smiling his eyes full of goodwill, occasionally leaning down to listen to Lily's innocent yet heartfelt words. The child's presence softened the distance between him and Emma, bridging the gap of status, wealth, and power that had always existed. In the following days, Emma and Alexander often met with Lily. The little girl became a small but incredibly effective bridge, helping the two adults dismantle barriers, share genuine thoughts, and gradually build trust. Each time Lily interjected with her innocent questions or observations, both Emma and Alexander laughed, feeling a closeness that no lavish event or power could provide. Sitting together in the cafe, Emma sipped her coffee, eyes on Alexander, realizing her heart had begun to open, not just because of his warmth, but also due to Lily's innocent, playful, yet sincere bridge. It made Emma feel safe, understood, and capable of opening up without fear of being hurt. With Lily's presence, everything felt lighter. Emma's worries, pressures, and loneliness did not vanish completely, but now she knew she could rely on the care and kindness of others. She understood that human warmth, genuine concern, and even a child's innocent words could create profound connections, heal hearts, and spark hope. This bridge of emotions not only brought Emma and Alexander closer, but also highlighted the story's human message. Sometimes, the simplest things, a child's words, a small gesture, a gentle glance can change a person, heal loneliness, and open doors to new opportunities in life. Emma looked at Lily, then glanced at Alexander, smiling softly. For the first time in weeks of solitude, she felt warmth, trust, and hope. She knew that with Alexander and Lily's innocence and sincerity, her heart had found a place to belong. And so, thanks to a child's innocent words and small gestures, the emotional bridge between Emma and Alexander was formed. It not only opened the way for closer connections, but also laid the foundation for deep, sincere, and warm feelings, preparing them for the chapters yet to come. Chapter 6: External Pressures. Morning light streamed through the tall floor-to-ceiling windows of the King Enterprises CEO office, casting long streaks across the polished wooden floor. Alexander King stood gazing out over the city, his eyes deep with thought and determination. His mind lingered on Emma, on Lily, on the humane decision he was contemplating spinning in endless loops. The atmosphere in the boardroom was far from calm. Henry Moore, his rival, always on the lookout for power and opportunity, had arrived clad in a sharp black suit, eyes sharp, a smile that carried a challenge. Henry had always seen Alexander not just as a competitor, but as a man with a weakness to exploit a compassionate heart. Henry entered, closing the door behind him, his voice cold but commanding. "Alexander, I hear you've recently been spending considerable time and resources helping a teacher and her little neighbor Alexander." Didn't turn his voice steady, but his eyes remained resolute. "Yes, Henry. I believe timely help can truly change someone's life." Henry gave a dry laugh, stepped to the conference table, placed his hand on the papers, and studied Alexander with a probing gaze. "Do you know what this means? This is a major corporation. Profit is everything. If you continue allocating so many resources to outsiders, we will lose millions. Investors will never accept this." Alexander turned calmly, his gaze unwavering. "I understand the risks, but sometimes human values are more important than short-term profit." Henry frowned, stepping closer, his voice sharper. "Human values. Alexander, in business, profit is the only metric of leadership. If you continue this path, you're not only jeopardizing the company, but giving our rivals a chance to exploit you. We're facing a difficult quarter, and you're playing with emotions instead of focusing on strategy." Tension thickened in the room, as if the walls themselves bore the weight of Henry's words. Alexander stood straight, meeting his opponent's gaze, voice firm yet warm. "I do not deny the importance of profit, but I cannot forsake integrity and kindness. Without humanity, I am no longer the leader I aspired to be." Henry shook his head, his tone ominous. "Alexander, you are being blind. People will take advantage of your goodwill. The lower-level employees, the outsiders you help, they don't feel gratitude. They simply take and leave. What do you think that brings you? Personal satisfaction or just financial loss?" Alexander drew a deep breath, staring out at the city beneath the morning light. Thoughts of Emma, of Lily, of the small moments that changed lives filled his mind. He knew clearly that if he listened only to Henry, he would miss the opportunity to make a real difference. Turning back, his voice deep and resolute, "I do not care what others think or predict. I do this because I know timely help can make a real difference. I do it not for personal satisfaction or to prove myself. I do it because it is right." Henry offered a derisive smile, stepping back, still scrutinizing and challenging. "You are steadfast indeed. But Alexander, remember, in our world, kindness can become a weakness. I just want to remind you, not everyone is like you." One day, you may pay the price." Alexander only nodded slightly, eyes steady. He knew the risks, yet his heart would not allow him to abandon what he valued more than profit. In that moment, he understood that true power is not money or position. It is the ability to choose what is right, even in the face of external pressures and challenges. The tense exchange stretched on, yet Alexander held his ground. He understood that the conflict between wealth and compassion, profit and humanity, was inevitable in leadership. But helping Emma and little Lily was proof that integrity and kindness still mattered. When Henry finally left, leaving a silent, tense room behind, Alexander stood looking out over the city. He thought of Emma, of her trembling yet resilient moments, of Lily's pure gaze, realizing that each decision he made would impact not only the corporation, but the lives of those who truly needed his help. He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility. External pressures, threats from rivals, they could not shake his resolve. Alexander knew that sometimes doing the right thing is the greatest challenge yet. It is also the choice that brings the most lasting value, not just for the company, but for the lives of those he chooses to protect and support. In the empty boardroom, morning light reflected off the polished table streaks, reminding him, power is not only money, it is the ability to choose the strength to do what is right, even under severe pressure. Alexander smiled faintly, eyes determined. He knew the journey with Emma and Lily was just beginning, and he was ready to face any external challenge while preserving the humanity and kindness he believed in. External pressures might be intense, but they also clarified the true value of compassion, empathy, and faith in people. The conflict between profit and humanity, wealth, and empathy was not just a business lesson, but a lesson in character and the power of choice. Alexander understood that by staying true to his principles, every act of kindness would not only change Emma's life, but also shape the way he viewed the world and how he wanted to lead. And so the pressure from Henry Moore did not sway Alexander. On the contrary, it strengthened his resolve. External challenges were merely tests proving that true power and kindness endure, and sometimes doing the right thing is the boldest yet most vital step in the life of a leader. Chapter 7. The Humane Decision. Sunlight poured through the large windows of the boardroom, casting long streaks across the polished wooden table, as if illuminating every thought in Alexander King's mind. The room was vast and silent, save for the rustle of papers and the tense breaths of the board members. Today was an important day. Alexander had to make a formal decision on the company's resource allocation, a choice that could impact immense profits, yet directly involved helping Emma Collins, the woman who had touched his heart. Alexander stood at the head of the table, his gaze meeting each board member. Inside him, the balance between power and humanity, profit and kindness weighed heavily. He knew that a wrong decision could bring serious financial consequences, but ignoring the chance to help Emma and little Lily would betray the values he held dear. Henry Moore, his rival, and the most influential board member, sat across from him, eyes cold, lips pressed tightly. He had prepared data numbers and forecasts, all aimed at proving that supporting Emma was a risk, a misuse of resources that could harm the company's reputation and profits. Alexander Henry began, his voice cold, We are talking about millions of dollars. By making this decision, you are putting personal emotions above the interests of the company and its shareholders. This is unacceptable in business. The other board members remained silent, their eyes studying Alexander. Each waited to see whether he would lean toward profit or follow his own emotions. The tension in the room was like a taut wire. Every passing second felt heavy, making Alexander's heart race. He drew a deep breath, trying to steady his mind. In front of him, the memory of Emma shivering in the cafe. Lily's innocent gaze, the small yet warm moments he had witnessed in recent days surged vividly. Those images urged him, reminding him that true power is not only wealth or position, but the ability to choose what is right, even under pressure and risk. I know the numbers, the forecasts, and the risks, Alexander said, his voice deep and decisive. But I also know that if I do not help someone in true need, I will lose a part of the values I believe in. The values of kindness, humanity, and doing what is right cannot be measured in money. A few board members frowned, unsure where he was heading. Henry Moore smirked, attempting to shake Alexander's resolve. You're risking everything for a teacher and a child. Do you really think kindness can change business outcomes? Alexander met Henry's gaze, steady and firm. No. Kindness cannot be measured in profit or strategy. But it can change a person's life. And sometimes, changing one person creates the most enduring and lasting value. I will take responsibility for my decision, but I will not sacrifice integrity and kindness. Silence fell over the boardroom for a few moments, all eyes fixed on Alexander, watching his every gesture, every word. The atmosphere was tense, yet full of anticipation. The board members gradually realized that Alexander was not just a powerful CEO. He was a man facing the greatest choice between profit and humanity, between power and kindness. Henry Moore inhaled sharply, emphasizing his point. If you continue down this path, shareholders will not forgive you, and your reputation will be questioned. This is a dangerous gamble, Alexander. Alexander did not hesitate, his voice steady. I accept the risk, but the greatest risk would be to lose my integrity, to miss the chance to help someone in real need. I believe the company will be stronger when we balance power with humanity, and I will lead the company guided by these values. Some board members began to nod, recognizing that Alexander's decision was not merely personal, but a testament to leadership based on human values, not just numbers and profits. They sensed a subtle strength. True power is not about overpowering others, but the ability to choose what is right and humane. Henry Moore still frowned, but his gaze had lost some of its edge. He realized that though he wished to pressure Alexander into traditional thinking, the man's heart and resolve could not be shaken. Alexander had demonstrated that leadership is not only about making business decisions, but about doing what is right, even under pressure, challenge, and risk. Alexander paused, scanning the boardroom eyes, softening voice, calm yet warm. Today I choose humanity. I choose to help Emma and Lily, not because of personal emotion, but because I believe it is the right thing to do. Our power is not just money or position. It is the ability to change lives. A gentle round of applause rose from a few board members. The tension and anticipation partially eased. Alexander knew he had not pleased everyone, but he had done the right thing. Deep inside, he understood that kindness and humanity were were the most enduring values, surpassing any external pressure. Looking out the window, sunlight reflecting across the wooden floor, Alexander felt a quiet relief. The decision had been made. From this moment forward, he would stand alongside Emma and Lily, not just through power and finance, but through care, kindness, and humanity, the values he trusted more than any figure on a balance sheet. A quiet joy welled within him, not only for upholding humane values, but because he knew that true power is sometimes not in controlling others, but in choosing to do what is right, even when faced with pressure and risk. Alexander glanced around the boardroom, a faint smile touching his lips. He knew that today's decision would shape not only the lives of Emma and Lily, but also the way he led the company, a corporation where humanity and power coexist, and where true values are protected and propagated. External pressures from Henry Moore and other board members could not shake his resolve. On the contrary, they strengthened his determination, underscoring that power comes with responsibility. And sometimes that responsibility means doing the right thing, no matter the cost. And so, in the sunlit boardroom, among golden reflections on the wooden table, Alexander King made his most important decision to choose humanity, to choose to help Emma and Lily, and to prove that true power lies in the ability to spread kindness and create positive change. Chapter 8. Opening Her Heart. The afternoon in New York was still tinged with winter's gray chill, but inside the familiar cafe, the atmosphere was warmer, bathed in soft golden light streaming through the windows. Emma Collins stepped inside, wearing the warm coat Alexander had given her. Her breath was steadier, yet her heart still raced from the thoughts she had been carrying. She knew today would be an important conversation, the first time she would truly open her heart to Alexander about the struggles, fears, and pressures she had endured. Sitting at a table near the window, Emma gazed at the snow-dusted street. The familiar scene, the shop windows, the hurried passers-by, felt gentler somehow. The warmth of her coffee spread through her trembling fingers, soothing the chill in her body. When Alexander entered, his eyes found hers, his gentle smile and warm gaze making her feel safe, as though she had stepped into a space where she could trust and open up. Alexander pulled a chair across from her, his deep voice soft yet steady. "You seem calmer today. Has everything settled a bit?" Emma smiled faintly, shaking her head. "Not entirely, but thanks to you, I feel a little lighter. I want to tell you everything that's happened to me." Her words were small, but carried a sky of emotions, drawing Alexander forward, his gaze attentive, entirely focused on her. The cafe seemed to shrink around them, leaving only the two of them and Emma's story. Emma began recounting the days of struggling with rent, early mornings, running through the streets to reach school on time, balancing teaching and caring for her students, and Lily, the little neighbor girl she regarded as a second daughter. She shared moments of loneliness, pressure, and exhaustion that made it feel impossible to keep going. Alexander listened without interrupting, occasionally nodding his eyes full of understanding and empathy. She felt that his concern was genuine, not mere curiosity or a passing challenge, but a sincere desire to understand and share. Every story Emma shared, from minor worries to deep pain, was received with respect and care. As she described evenings spent by the window watching the snow fall and wondering what tomorrow might bring, waves of emotion rose within her. She hadn't expected to share these moments with someone like Alexander, a powerful, wealthy CEO. Yet he made her feel an unusual sense of peace. Alexander lightly rested his hand on the table, his eyes softening. "Your story is moving, Emma. I feel fortunate to have the chance to help you. Not just because I can, but because I believe everyone deserves care and hope." Emma met his gaze, feeling her heart soften. For the first time in weeks, she felt understood, shared with, no longer alone. Her worries remained, but they were now shared, eased by Alexander's sincere presence and care. Their conversation became lighter, free from the barriers of power or hesitation. Emma spoke of small dreams she had kept hidden, a small classroom for children in need, a place where she could teach and help them feel loved and safe. Alexander listened, his eyes full of admiration, his gaze gentle, no longer just a distant CEO, but a man ready to accompany and share her dreams. Outside the window, snow continued to fall, but Emma no longer felt the cold. She realized that through Alexander's kindness and attentiveness, and the small but genuine moments between them, her heart had begun to open. She sensed hope seeping in and healing taking root in every emotion. Alexander suggested a walk along the winter street, letting her feel some light and the city's rhythm outside the cafe. As they stepped out, snow settled lightly on shoulders and hair, golden light from street lamps reflecting on her face, creating a soft, dreamlike scene. Alexander walked beside her, sometimes simply holding her hand, saying nothing, yet his presence alone brought warmth to Emma. She continued to share the exhausting days, balancing work, personal life, and responsibilities toward those around her. Every word was met with Alexander's listening, occasional smiles, soft sighs, or gentle nods, making her feel true empathy. These moments did more than soothe her. They built a strong bridge between them, trust, safety, and hope. Emma realized that opening her heart did not mean weakness. It meant daring to face her emotions, to share pain and hope with someone she trusted. Alexander not only listened, but infused her with positivity and the belief that challenges could be overcome with support and kindness. They paused in front of a small bakery. Alexander rested a hand on Emma's shoulder, his gaze tender. "See, Emma, every difficulty can feel lighter when we don't carry it alone." Emma smiled, warmth spreading through her body. For the first time in weeks, she felt relief. The feelings of helplessness and loneliness faded, replaced by hope and trust. She realized that thanks to Alexander, she could see a new path, a place to belong, where her heart no longer trembled under life's burdens. Walking together down the snow-dusted street, golden light reflecting off the snow, their steps fell in rhythm. Emma felt the change within herself. Her heart had opened, hope was kindling, and she was ready to embrace the good that life might bring. Alexander looked at her eyes, gentle voice, low and warm. "Emma, I'm so glad you trust me. Remember, sometimes just opening your heart is enough to discover things more wonderful than we ever imagined." Emma felt the healing warmth and hope spread through her. For the first time in weeks, she truly smiled without restraint, without hesitation. Her eyes shone. Her heart was no longer alone. And so, on a winter afternoon within the familiar cafe, and along the snow-dusted street, Emma Collins began to open her heart, trust in Alexander, sharing her struggles, and the gentle yet sincere gestures had created a pivotal moment in her emotional healing journey. From here, she knew that hope was not a distant concept. It existed, weaving through simple moments, human kindness, and genuine connections. Chapter 9. A Life Transformed. After weeks of uncertainty and worry, Emma Collins finally saw a glimmer of light in her life. On a winter morning, her small apartment was filled with gentle sunlight streaming through the windows. The cold and loneliness she had felt for so long had begun to fade. The stress over rent bills and daily survival seemed lighter now thanks to Alexander's presence and the compassionate support he offered. Alexander stepped into the apartment, his gentle smile and warm gaze as reassuring as ever. He wasn't just bringing material gifts, he brought stability and confidence, a complete transformation to a life Emma had been struggling to maintain on her own. The apartment had been tidied and organized, old items replaced with necessary comforts, yet still retained the cozy charm Emma loved. Emma Alexander said, his deep voice soft yet resolute, "I want to make sure you have a place you truly belong, where you and Lily can feel secure and thrive. Not just a home, but a space where you can live, work, and pursue your dreams." Emma remained silent, her eyes sparkling with emotion. She felt the sincerity in every word, every gesture. It wasn't about money or status. It was genuine care, warming her heart after months of solitude and anxiety. She knew this was the first time she had truly been given the opportunity to transform her life completely. Alexander began assisting Emma with financial stability, ensuring she no longer needed to worry about rent or household bills. He established a personal fund to cover essential expenses and supported her in developing her long-held educational projects. Emma could not hold back her emotions. Tears ran down her cheeks as she realized she would no longer struggle alone. "Thank you. I don't even know how to express it," Emma said, voice trembling yet sincere. "You've changed my life, changed the way I see the world." Alexander smiled gently. "Emma, I'm only doing what I believe is right. Everyone deserves a life of hope, and I want to help you find that." Alexander's support extended beyond finances and housing. He cared for Emma's spirit. He took the time to listen, share gentle stories, and offer advice, helping her feel peace in her heart. The anxiety and pressure that had once weighed on her daily were replaced by connection, trust, and happiness. The apartment became more than a living space. It was a home, a place where Emma could find safety and belonging. Lily ran and played throughout the room, her laughter filling the air, making it warm and lively. The little girl looked at Alexander with admiration and gratitude, recognizing that it was because of him that their lives had completely changed. Alexander observed Emma and Lily, sensing the bond between them, and smiled with satisfaction. He knew that his support did more than stabilize Emma's life. It healed her heart, helping her find hope, confidence, and the courage to move forward. Emma began to reestablish her life with a new rhythm, teaching, caring for Lily, and pursuing her educational projects. Each day brought positive change. No more constant worry, no more loneliness. Instead, she experienced happiness, peace, and faith in the future. She realized that sometimes a single act of kindness, genuine concern, could create profound change. Alexander had not only provided material support, but also helped her recognize the value of humanity, goodness, and hope. The lonely weeks of the past seemed distant, replaced by joy, warmth, and security in her heart. One afternoon, as Emma gazed out the window, winter sunlight illuminating her face, she realized her life had been completely transformed. No more worries about basic survival, no more loneliness, only peace, warmth, and hope. Thanks to Alexander, she'd found a true place to belong, a place of safety care and love. Alexander stood beside her eyes, gentle voice, calm and warm. Emma, you're settled now. But more importantly, I hope you understand that real value isn't in money or power. It's in the place where you truly belong and feel loved. Emma looked at him, eyes brimming with happiness, and smiled sincerely. She knew that through Alexander's kindness and care, she had overcome her hardships, found stability, and felt warmth in her heart. The difficulties of the past seemed lighter, replaced by joy, hope, and trust. The small apartment had truly become a home. Lily ran and laughed, while Emma cared for her with a heart full of warmth and gratitude. Alexander watched them from a distance, a satisfied smile on his lips, eyes filled with contentment. He knew that his acts of kindness and humanity had genuinely changed Emma's life, healing her and giving her the chance to live fully. In the days that followed, Emma began to open up more, sharing her plans, dreams, and aspirations with Alexander. Their relationship grew closer, sincere, and warm. Alexander was no longer just a provider. He became a source of emotional support, helping her recognize the true value of kindness and humanity. In the small apartment, sunlight streaming through the windows, Emma felt peace and happiness. She realized that life was not merely about material wealth or power, but about genuine connections, kindness, and care between people. Alexander and Lily had become an integral part of her life, helping heal her heart and find a place to belong. And so, Emma Collins's life entered a new chapter. She was no longer lonely or anxious, but filled with hope, happiness, and security. Past difficulties had softened, giving way to joy, warmth, and a sense of being loved. The story of Emma and Alexander stood as a testament to the power of kindness, humanity, and love. Regardless of wealth or status, anyone could make a difference, heal, and bring hope to another person. Emma knew that from this moment on, she would live not only with stability, but also with faith that human kindness and goodness could always change a life. Alexander had given her more than material security. He had given her a peaceful heart and hope for the future. The small apartment now overflowed with laughter, light, and happiness. Emma looked out the window, her eyes shining with trust, knowing she had found a place to truly belong, a place where her heart was healed, safe, and loved. Chapter 10. Climax and Conclusion. Morning sunlight flooded Alexander King's luxurious office, golden rays streaming through the large windows, reflecting off glass walls and the polished wooden desk. The space was open, yet far from cold. Instead, a subtle warmth permeated every detail, giving visitors a sense of gentle authority and refined power. Emma Collins stepped inside her winter coat, still holding the chill of the season. Her heart raced, both anxious and curious, for today marked a pivotal moment. Alexander would formally offer her a lasting opportunity and a promise of support, affirming that she had finally found a place to belong. Alexander stood near the window, gazing over the city, bathed in morning light. When he saw Emma enter, a gentle smile spread across his face, his eyes still full of the care she had come to know from their previous meetings. He raised his hand in greeting, inviting her to sit in the chair across from his desk, where everything was prepared for this final conversation. Emma, today, I want to ensure that you truly understand the significance of what we've begun. Alexander said, his deep voice powerful yet tender, both gentle and serious. This isn't just short-term help. It's a long-term opportunity for you and Lily to stabilize, grow, and truly find your place. Emma's heart leapt. She closed her eyes for a moment, inhaled deeply, then opened them, looking at Alexander with trust-filled eyes. The past weeks, from the cafe meetings, shared moments, the hotel event, and even conversations with Lily, culminated in this instant. It was no longer just hope. It was reality. Alexander handed her a neatly organized folder containing all the support plans, financial stability, educational and career development opportunities, and a dedicated fund for the educational project she had long dreamed of. He smiled gently. All I want is for you to feel safe and be able to grow in the way you hope. This isn't just money. It's trust and the chance for you to truly find your place. Emma trembled as she took the folder, overwhelmed with happiness and emotion. Each page carried a promise, an opportunity, and steadfast belief. She couldn't have imagined that from the lonely, trembling days at the cafe, she would now be given the chance to completely transform her life. Thank you. Truly, thank you, Emma said, her voice choked with emotion but sincere. I don't know how to express it. I never imagined I'd have this chance. Alexander raised his brow, slightly smiling. You deserve it, Emma. Sometimes in life, true value isn't gold or power. It's finding where you truly belong and feel safe. His words warmed Emma's heart. She realized that no material wealth or status could bring true peace and happiness. Only love, kindness, and sincere care could. After the conversation, Alexander suggested stepping outside to the cafe-lined street, where winter light illuminated the thin layer of snow, allowing them to enjoy the fresh air and savor a moment of gentle freedom. Emma walked beside him hand in hand, heart racing, yet comforted. Her eyes sparkled with happiness for the first time in weeks. She was no longer trembling from worry or loneliness, but truly feeling where she belonged. On the street, Alexander looked at her, his deep voice calm and warm. True wealth is a place to belong, not gold. Emma smiled, her eyes shining with joy and hope. The words, simple yet profound, reminded her that real value wasn't in material possessions or power. It was in the places and the people that made her heart feel at peace and truly at home. The outdoor cafe bustled with laughter and soft music. But for Emma and Alexander, the world seemed to slow. They walked together, sharing everyday stories, small dreams, and even the grand plans they hoped to realize together. Every step, every smile, every glance reflected the deep connection between them, where power and kindness walked hand in hand, creating a world filled with warmth and hope. Emma realized that through hardship, she had found where she belonged, not just a home or a stable job, but safety within another person's heart, understanding, and genuine love. The weeks of loneliness and worry had been replaced with happiness and a sense of being valued. Alexander gazed into the distance, eyes gleaming with determination. He knew that wealth and power were merely tools. True enduring value lay in kindness and humanity. By giving Emma an opportunity, he had not only helped one person overcome hardship, but also spread a vital message. Love and goodness can heal, transcending all boundaries of wealth and status. Emma held Alexander's hand, feeling its warmth, and smiled radiantly. In that moment, she understood that her place to belong wasn't a location or a number. It was the people, the emotions, and the genuine values she had discovered. Outside the cafe, light snow fell golden rays, reflecting on the wet street, creating the perfect backdrop for the story's closing scene. Emma and Alexander stood together hand in hand, looking forward toward a future filled with hope, warmth, and new possibilities. And so the story concluded with a clear message. True wealth is a place to belong, not gold. Real value lies not in material wealth or power, but in the hearts we heal, in the love and kindness we give and receive. The audience departed feeling warm, fulfilled, and inspired. They understood that despite challenges, pressures, and trials, love and kindness can change lives, bring miracles, and open doors to places where our hearts truly belong. Leave a comment with your city rate 0 to 10 and subscribe to follow more stories full of inspiration, kindness, hope, and love that transcends all boundaries of wealth and status. A place to belong. Morning light filtered through the windows of Emma Collins's small apartment, casting a warm glow across the worn wooden floor. The air was gentle and calm, a stark contrast to the lonely, anxious days she had endured before. Emma gazed outside, watching snowflakes drift across the narrow street. The chill lingered, but her heart felt warm. She knew today would be special, a moment marking a complete change in her life. Alexander King entered the apartment, walking with steady confidence, a gentle smile on his lips. His gaze was full of care, yet never imposing, making Emma feel safe and valued. He brought a neatly organized folder containing all the support and opportunities he had prepared: financial stability, a secure home, and chances to pursue educational projects Emma had long dreamed of. Emma, this isn't just a gift or temporary assistance. Alexander said, his deep voice both warm and determined. I want to make sure you have a place where you truly belong, a place where you feel safe, loved, and able to grow. Emma trembled as she took the folder, her eyes brimming with emotion. She recalled the days spent trembling and alone in the cafe, the evenings watching snowfall, wondering if she could ever overcome her struggles. Now, every worry seemed to vanish, replaced by happiness and a sense of peace. Thank you. Truly thank you, Emma said, her voice trembling but sincere. You've changed my life, not just materially, but in my heart and soul. Alexander smiled softly. Emma, I'm only doing what I believe is right. Sometimes true value isn't in gold or power. It's in the place where you truly belong. True wealth is a place to belong, not gold. His words rang like a living message, making Emma's heart stir. She realized that happiness and peace don't come from material wealth or authority, but from love, kindness, and genuine care. In that moment, all the past struggles, loneliness, and worries seemed to lighten, giving way to hope and renewed faith. Then they walked together to the outdoor cafe, where their story had begun. Golden light fell on glistening snowflakes along the street, and the laughter of passers-by blended with the gentle sounds of the city. Emma walked beside Alexander, feeling both excited and reassured, as though her heart had finally found a place to belong. Alexander held her hand lightly, his voice warm and calm. "Emma, now you have opportunity, safety, and stability. Remember, whenever you need, I'll always be here, not just with power or resources, but with kindness and care." Emma looked at him, her eyes shining with joy. She felt healing warmth and hope spreading through her. For the first time in months of loneliness and hardship, she was no longer trembling or anxious. She knew she had found her place, not just a home or a job, but safety, love, and trust in humanity. Time seemed to slow, leaving only the moment of the two of them standing together, hand in hand, gazing at the snow-covered street. Emma smiled, feeling every breath, every heartbeat warm and alive. From the cold isolation of her past, she had stepped into the light, a place where her heart was healed and her soul found peace. And so the story closed with a clear message: love and kindness can heal, transcend every boundary of wealth and status, and bring hope, trust, and a place where every person truly belongs. Leave a comment with your city rate 0-10 and subscribe to follow more stories full of inspiration, kindness, hope, and love that bridges every divide.